888-278-062, and please add a description of the show.
I'd like to welcome all our viewers down to Southern Maine Motors right here at Route 1 in Saco. I'm here with the internet sales girl, Danielle, not the door greeter, the internet sales girl. And I know a lot of people would probably like to see you greet me as a girl, but there's a chance that could happen, right?
There is a chance. Nice to meet you, Steve. Thank you so much for coming.
Danielle, I mean, there's a lot of exciting things going on down here. I mean, things are looking great down here in the yard. Oh yeah, we've got a lot of great specials going on. We've got tons and tons of fabulous cars right now. So it's a lot of fun here. Yeah, and some of the more prestigious looking beautiful things, I mean the Jeeps, I mean that's a popular brand throughout the state of Maine. You got the minivans, everybody needs a minivan, and
everyone needs
the trucks. But let's talk about these muscle cars.
Let's talk about them.
It's just amazing, and beautiful. Beautiful cars, beautiful cars. It's a nice, sleek, sexy ride out there. It's an eye-catcher. Now, if you had the opportunity to get in one of these challenges, whether it's as a passenger or as a driver? I've done both. I've been very privileged to get a chance to get in there both, and they're amazing, amazing vehicles. Lots of power, lots of room. You're going to have the visible look of them. They're going to have the eye-catching look down the street. It's just, they're great vehicles. Yeah, and they... you said it, eye-catching, and that's what it's all about. When the spring gets in the summer, everybody wants to look good. Everybody's worried about how they're looking, their tan, and why not be in one of those vehicles that is eye-catching? Exactly. And can you give us some background on these, or is there somebody else around that might be better at that? You know what, Steve? We actually have the owner of Southern Maine Motors right here, Bill. He's the expert of these vehicles, so let's get him. So if we go get Bill, he'll be able to tell us the difference between the 1970 Challenger and the 2012 Challenger. So let's go see if we can roust up Bill and get him out here and take us through some of the differences and similarities with these Challengers. You got it. Okay, now we've caught up with Bill Waldron. I'd like to thank you for taking the time with us here on Mainely Motorsports. And Danielle said you're the expert on the Mopar muscle car. That's what they tell me. That's what they tell you. Yeah. Now you've been not only at the dealership, but you've been collecting these for years. Yeah, I have. I've been into old cars since my 20s, actually. So. Now, what was your first Mopar muscle car? The first Mopar muscle car I had was a '66 Dodge Coronet 500. That was burgundy, pretty rusty, that I bought actually not far from here in Scarborough a long time ago. Do you still own it? No, I had that car for about 3 or 4 months until a '67 GTX caught my eye, which was sort of, '67 was the next year. That was really sort of the star jump-off point for the package sort of muscle cars for Chrysler. Yeah. They had the GTX on the Plymouth side and the Coronet RT on the Dodge side. So that was when they started with the graphics and the whole package with the engine, suspension, graphics, performance type package. Yeah. Now, what do you think? I mean, we got an old Challenger here. We remember the Super Bs, the Chargers. What do you think has been the most popular and most recognizable Mopar muscle car from yesteryear? Well, that's a tough question. I guess people, when they think of Mopar, names that come to mind is Challenger, Cuda, Charger, Roadrunner, Super B. So the Challenger that you see here was a little bit late to the game because the Roadrunner is probably the highest volume car that really put Mopar on the map. But then, people would argue, well, the Charger was there first, and the Charger was a little bit different slice of the market. The Roadrunner and the Super B were brothers and sisters, as you might call it, for Plymouth and Dodge. And then in 1970, the Challenger came out for Dodge, and you had the Cuda for Plymouth, sort of the brother and sister in that area. Yeah. And then sort of the junior muscle cars were sort of in the background along the way with with the Dart 340s and the Duster 340s and whatnot. So all of those names, when I think of those names, it brings to mind bright colors and graphics and engines on the hood and hood scoops and all that good stuff. And it seemed to, in the mid-'70s, they seemed to get away from that. And then the last couple of years with the Challenger, and it's coming back. It's coming back. Yeah, it seems to come back. There's a little retro rebirth. Ford has the Mustang, Chevy has the Camaro, and the Mopar has the Challenger. And the Challenger has taken cues really from the Challenger primarily, but also a little bit from the Barracuda. In fact, if you look at this older Challenger, the overhangs are typically longer on the front and the back than the Cuda was in the day. Gave the Cuda a little bit different look. Yep. Same platform, and the new Challenger has a little bit shorter overhang, reminiscent grille of the Challenger. So it looks like
and it's a little bit, taller. It's definitely a bigger car. It has a little bit shorter overhangs, maybe like the Cuda, but the grille and the taillights and the rest of the fascia, much like an original Challenger.
Now I know the first question that every viewer is going to want to know is, what's the price difference? I mean, when you could have walked in, and if Southern Maine Motors was here 32 years ago and somebody could have walked in, what would have been the sticker price on this car?
This car, as you see it equipped, has an upgraded option. It's the 446 pack, which would have been an add. It has a shaker hood, which was an add. It was the RT package, which was different than the stock Challenger. You could get a Challenger with 5 different engines in 1970, but this car, as you see, it was about $4,300, 43 plus. And actually, this brand new one here is $43,995. So really, like 10 to 1.
So a guy could have bought 10 of these to one of these.
That's right.
I mean, obviously the money is different and stuff, but now you've driven them both, obviously a lot. What is some of the biggest similarities that Dodge brought forth?
Well, one thing, when you sit behind the wheel and put your right hand out, there's a pistol grip shifter, which Mopar was kind of famous for their pistol grip shifters for 4-speed cars. They did a sort of a reminiscent style pistol grip shifter in this car. But it's a long hood, big comfortable bucket seats, good visibility, and everything just fits right in your hand. And then it's all about your eyes and your feet going down the road after that.
Now, when you're out there riding around in these, what do you think gets more looks, the new Challenger or the old Challenger?
Well, that's a tough question. I guess probably both.
Now, I asked the question, but I'm going to give you what I think my answer would be.
All right, let's hear it.
It would depend on what age group you are.
Okay, there you go.
You know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
The teens in the early 20s, but the persons in their 40s and aboves, they must look at this, and I mean, they think back, I mean, American Graffiti, the Happy Days, the Grease days. I mean, those were even a little before this, but, that's what you hear from when we hear from our parents and our grandparents.
Yeah, they remember
right?
that. Yeah, that's one of the fun things about old cars for me is everybody has a story. You go somewhere with an old car, it doesn't matter what it is, and people just come up and start talking. I remember this, I remember that, and so it's always it's always fun, no matter what it is for an old car. There's a history story there somewhere.
Yeah, well, why don't you take our viewers through some of the big differences on the two cars, or some of the things that you want to point out that you think are very interesting to that either Dodge has brought forth or they've made a major change, which is an upgrade.
Okay, a lot of there is a big difference between the original car and the most current car. Cars are better these days. I really, I believe that. As far as, safety-wise and dependability, they certainly are. And fuel economy, too. I mean, this car is rated at 23 miles to the gallon on the highway, and this one is probably 10 if you're lucky, or better. This car has 3 carburetors. Which on a good day, and it's relatively straightforward, but it requires tuning. 3 carburetors.
So that explains the 10 miles a gallon.
Yeah, exactly. And then this is, a fuel-injected car, which, is very efficient, all set up and virtually trouble-free.
Well, the American automakers, they aren't the only guys that made it. I mean, NASCAR, they've just gone that route, gotten away from the carburetors and gone with the fuel injection and all that.
That's right.
I mean, they were actually a little behind the times to do it, but that's something that people can relate to when you're talking about the carburetors versus the fuel injection. So
for dependability and safety, there's obviously big differences. I mean, these cars are crash tested; they weren't back then. You have airbags, throughout these cars. You didn't have those in the past. And then as far as much better brakes. Bigger wheels and tires. And then as far as creature comforts, I mean, there's a huge difference there. I mean, with a car like this, you have, sunroof, air conditioning, cruise control, power seats, heated seats, cup holders, your Bluetooth for your telephone, navigation on a screen. I mean, that was sort of Jetsons type stuff we were thinking of kids back then,
So when people say, what did we used to do before all this stuff?
Right.
Just go drive a 1970
Just go drive,
Challenger,
yeah.
And you'll know what you used to do.
Put the music on and sunglasses, and that's all you need, really.
That's all you have, and that's all you can do.
Yeah.
No, well, that's cool. And, what's the persona of the Charger, the Challenger and the Charger? You know what I mean? The Charger more like for a family?
Yeah, the Charger of the old days was a 2-door car. It was sort of a premium 2-door sports coupe. And today it's the Charger. I mean, it shares the same sort of stylish flair, but these days the Charger is really it's a 4-door sedan. It's Dodge's 4-door sedan, and they come in a performance flavor. They also come in a 4-door sedan kind of, you know, drive around town 6-cylinder family style also.
Yeah, so they're pretty sleek looking, but there is a difference. For that guy that's looking for that real sports effect and the real muscle car effect, it's the Challenger that he's after.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
All right, so one thing that Bill failed to mention was the horsepower. On the original Challenger, this is a 390 and a quarter mile. It's 13.2 at about 100 miles per hour. On the new, it's 470 horsepower, and it is high 12s at 120 miles per hour.
Danielle, thank you for reminding all the folks of that information. I'm sure they were all dying to hear, and I forgot about it, so thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, nobody would expect that the guy, because usually guys are all about performance and power, would talk all about the sleekness, and the women that are all about the sleekness and stuff,
well, we all work
remember the power.
Here,
yeah, and I guess that's what happens here. You're right.
It's the most important part of these.
Well, I want to thank you guys, because I'll tell you, it's informative, and these cars are awesome. And I mean, it's just amazing.
Well, thank you so much for coming down, and anyone, please come on down. We always have a classic vehicle out in the showroom, or visit us on southernmainmotors.com.
Thank you.